You remember the 80s titans, U2, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard? Cool. But this is the flip side of the decade. 15 bands with bigger hooks than their chart positions, buried in tape boxes and college radio memories. From Sheffield Shadows to Georgia Jangle, LA Power Pop to Manchester Guitar Cathedrals, these are the names you forgot, but the songs you never should have. If you can name 7 before we hit number 1, you're a legend. If not, you just found your new favorite playlist. Drop your score in the comments, hit subscribe, and let's start at number 15. In mid-80s New York, rock seemed split between downtown art noise and glossy radio sheen. The Del Lords cut straight up the middle with songs that felt older than fashion and sharper than nostalgia. Guitarists Scott Kempner, ex-Dictators, and Eric Roscoe Amble, fresh off Joan Jett's band, wrote bar band anthems with a reporter's eye, Work, Luck, Rent, Small Victories, and arranged them with 2 guitar counterlines that lock like gears. Their debut, Frontier Days, 1984, plays like a manifesto. Lean tempos, strummed hard downbeats, choruses designed for rooms where the stage is one step above the floor. A big part of the pull is how the records sound. The drum kit sits present and unhyped. The guitars interlock without smearing. The vocal stays dry and upfront so the storytelling carries its weight. Even the cover choices, Dust Bowl standards repowered through loud amps, signal intent, wire American songcraft to modern electricity, and play like tomorrow's on the line. If roots rock later became a catch-all, the Del Lords were already sketching its best version. Punk economy, country soul feeling, and street corner detail, all without myth-making. Spin the album now, and the tracks still stand like good buildings. Solid lines, clean sight lines, no wasted ornament.
Hey, RockLore community. Before we continue, let's have a real talk for a second, bro. You know, this isn't just a channel to us. And I hope it's not just a place you come to watch a video and then forget about it. This is a community. It's a place where we get to dig up the secrets of rock and roll, share our favorite riffs, and celebrate the artists who maybe didn't get the love they deserved. Right now, only about 1% of our viewers are subscribed. We can change that together and grow this community. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. When you do, you're not just helping a channel grow, you're becoming a member of the RockLore family. You're signaling to us and to YouTube that these stories matter, that this music is worth preserving, and that this community is a place you want to be. Subscribing is your way of making sure you're always in the loop. It means you'll be the first to know when we unearth a forgotten legend, drop a new countdown, or dive into a piece of rock history you've never heard before. So if you're a true fan of the lore, if you get that same feeling of discovery that I do, then come join us. It takes 1 second to be a part of something bigger.
Red Rockers began as Gulf Coast punks with a political streak and, almost perversely, wrote one of the era's most gleaming new wave singles. China, 1983, rides chiming guitars and a chorus you can spot from across the dial. It's the breakout from their second LP, Good as Gold, produced for the Bay Area indie to major pipeline that helped local bands scale up without losing identity. The shift wasn't a sellout so much as a sharpening, early ferocity trimmed into clarity, with drum sounds that breathe and guitar lines that glint without going brittle. Follow the arc and you hear a group testing how far a DIY heart can travel on FM. The follow-up chased bigger hooks, but China remains the Rosetta cut, the sound of regional punk stepping onto a national stage and finding a melody big enough to hold the door. It's a textbook on scene-to-radio translation. Keep the pulse honest, polish the edges, let the hook do the heavy lifting. Kansas City's Rainmakers arrived in 1986 like a smart bar band suddenly given studio headroom. The Rainmakers pairs tight, unflashy guitars with drum rooms that sound like real air, while Bob Walkenhorst sings in a bone-dry, sly voice about Bible Belt life, faith, hypocrisy, Saturday night relief, and Sunday morning reckoning. The writing is literate without ever getting precious. The band plays like they could knock these songs out in a club and still sweat the little studio details when the tape's rolling. They nudged the US charts and made a curious transatlantic splash when Let My People Go Go climbed into the UK top 20. Proof that straight-shooting American rock can travel if the choruses land and the stories ring true.
Bells at the stars, he said, beat me, Big Daddy, A to the bone. What I say.
The longer tale is that the band built loyal pockets overseas, while American radio mostly filed them under regional. That mismatch is part of the charm now, and the debut still reads as a primer in making intelligence feel like a party trick rather than a lecture. Translator were San Francisco romantics with a noir streak, chiming guitars, minor key shadows, and choruses that feel both intimate and enormous. Their debut Heartbeats and Triggers, 1982, delivered a college radio standard in Everywhere That I'm Not, a should-be classic where a jazzy intro riff tumbles into a chorus that seems inevitable, like doors sliding open.
You're in New York, but I'm not. You're in Tokyo too, 'cause that's impossible, that's him. That's impossible, that's him.
The textures are analog warm, the hooks precise, and the rhythm section keeps things buoyant without getting glossy. The engine is a two-singer, two-guitarist partnership, Steve Barton and Robert Darlington, that yields melodic abundance, different angles on similar weather.
Yeah, you're everywhere, but I'm not, I'm not, I'm not, I'm not.
Follow the catalog and you hear the band lean brighter and janglier without losing the adult melancholy baked into the melodies. If jangle pop is sometimes shorthand for lightness, Translator remind you the form can carry weight, longing, doubt, and distance rendered in glassy chords. Wire train anchor the other pillar of that Bay Area pipeline, young, hook-savvy, and ready for big rooms. The debut in a chamber, recorded at the Automat in late '83, released early '84, is a rhythm-tight statement with the calling card single, Chamber of Hellos. What jumps out is architecture. Serpentine guitar figures that resolve into clean choruses, a rhythm section that moves without showboating, and vocals urgent enough for radio but never forced. Their career arc mirrors American modern rock itself, starting bright and lean, stepping toward a more polished widescreen by the turn of the '90s. But the first album shows the DNA clearest. San Francisco club instincts upgraded for national reach without blunting the attack. You can hear the shared ecosystem, indie infrastructure feeding a major's distribution, a producer's emphasis on clarity and momentum, resulting in songs that feel regional, fog, freeways, neon, and built to travel.
On my own, I live in a house with a bedrock dog. I call around dog.
If the 80s had an ID that barked through a busted PA, it sounded a lot like this London trio. The Screaming Blue Messiahs took jump blues nerve endings, wired them to punk velocity, and then sandblasted everything until only muscle and hook survived. The riffs are jet engine simple, downstrokes that feel like they're carved out of steel, while the rhythm section hammers time as if it's trying to escape the song. Lyrically, they obsess over roads, engines, menace, and momentum. The characters here don't fall in love so much as accelerate toward it. Their core trick is arrangement discipline. Guitars leave space for the snare to punch. Bass notes are clipped so the kick can speak. The vocal rides on top, dry and slightly distorted, like a dispatch from a dashboard mic. Listen for how the choruses arrive without telegraphing themselves. Verses tighten, pre-choruses change the angle of attack. and then the hook snaps shut like a trap.
Dino, you sing Wilma?
It's rock and roll as propulsion, with no aerodynamic drag. Start with the two calling cards that show both sides of their personality. The swaggering novelty with teeth, I Wanna Be a Flintstone, and the darker, wind-in-your-face surge, Wild Blue Yonder. Then go long form with Bikini Red to hear how a band can be ferocious and meticulous at once. You'll come away with a new definition of minimalism. Not less, but nothing wasted. File this next to REM on your shelf, not as a shadow, but as a parallel line. Out of suburban Georgia, Guadalcanal Diary fused Southern Jangle with Desert Mirage, twangy guitar figures, tom-heavy drums, and lyrics that ping-pong between Southern Gothic snapshots and Travel Ogue surrealism. Where their Athens peers favored murmured mystery, these songs speak clearly. Melodies you can hum by the second chorus, rhythm parts that move your feet without straining for dance rock polish. What makes them special is emotional temperature. They can be exuberant without turning manic, melancholic without going slack. The guitars chime in close harmony, often answering the vocal rather than merely padding it. Bass lines glide, giving the choruses lift. The drums play light on top, heavy underneath, so the songs feel breathable even when they surge. Spin, Watusi Rodeo for the grin. Litany, Life Goes On, for the ache. And Jamboree for the band's most balanced statement of purpose. Tight, emotional, and quietly durable. If you've ever wondered how Jangle gets its shimmer, start here. Let's Active is producer-guitarist Mitch Easter's laboratory for luminous pop. Stacked clean guitars, vocal harmonies aimed like spotlights, and drums recorded with just enough room to feel human. The magic isn't just tone, it's design. Intros act like thesis statements. Bridges actually change the weather. Codas earn their keep. The songs feel hand-built by people who know where every wire goes. Under the sparkle lives a noir streak, wistful melodies, lyrics about distance and missed signals, a sense of motion that never quite resolves. That tension is addictive, bright chords casting long shadows. Start with Every Word Means No to hear how a single guitar figure can pull the whole arrangement into orbit. Then graduate to Cypress for a masterclass in how to keep a delicate record moving forward. This is the sound countless college radio bands chased. DIY ears, studio brain. This video is sponsored by the Lore Store on Amazon, your one-stop shop for music lovers across reggae, rock, pop, and hip-hop. We built it for real listeners who don't want to dig through 1,000 listings to find the right gear. Inside the Lore Store, you'll find 5 aisles. VIP, top, battle-tested essentials. Headphones, turntables, speakers, gig-safe earplugs, smart speakers. Reggae vibe, roots and lovers. Rock made easy, automatic decks, warm bookshelf speakers, vinyl care. RockLore, classic rock must-haves, open back cans, simple amps, living room concert vibes. PopLore, feel-good everyday setups, clean, clear speakers, easy streaming, nostalgia-friendly picks. Hip-hop must-haves, punchy bass without the muddle, closed-back headphones and living room systems that handle low-end, plus a rotating crate of old album vinyl if you're rebuilding a 60s-90s collection. Every product page tells you who it's for, 3 pros, 1 con, and why we picked it. So you can choose with confidence. Flying soon? Check. VIP for noise canceling that tames plane roar. Mostly listening at home? Try open-back headphones that let live albums breathe. Want instant gratification vinyl? Our fully automatic turntable is 1 button from silence to music, and the record cleaning kit knocks down crackle so the bass tightens up. Headed to shows? Grab high-fidelity earplugs, hands-free at home. Our smart speaker picks let you say, play 70s reggae or classic pop, and you're there. Deal alert! If you use the link in the description, you'll land on our curated picks with current best available Amazon pricing and active discounts where applicable. Prices change, so buy now to lock in today's deal. Tap the link in the description, pick your aisle, grab a favorite, and tell me which category you want me to build next. The Lore Store. Listen better, with gear that gets out of the way and lets the music live. Neo-psych done with athleticism. The mighty Lemon Drops build cathedrals out of chorus pedal guitars, then send a rhythm section sprinting through them. There's a hint of gloom in the vocal grain, but the songs themselves are built for forward motion. 4 on-the-floor hi-hats, bass lines that climb rather than brood, hooks that burst out of minor keys like sunlight between clouds. They took the mood of post-punk and taught it to run. The trick to their best records is contrast, glassy textures against insistent grooves, melancholy melodies that resolve in major key lift. Cue up, Inside Out, to hear that balance snap into focus. The verse is all tight shoulders, the chorus opens its arms, and then let World Without End play through to understand how a band can be simultaneously underground and radio ready. If you like your jangle with muscle and your choruses with afterglow, this is your lane. Some bands are filed as goth because they like shadows. The Bolshoi earn the tag because they use shadows. The rhythm section moves like a cat, quiet, coiled, decisive, while Trevor Tanner's vocal sits half a step removed, as if narrating the scene from a nearby doorway. Guitars favor open strings and chiming intervals that ring into the spaces between snare hits. Keys arrive like cold air. It's pop engineering pointed at darker weather. What keeps these songs from sinking under their own atmosphere is craft. The hooks are clipped and memorable, the verse is economical, and the bridges do the subtle lifting that many bands leave to choruses. Away is the gateway, a bass-led verse, a chorus that turns on one perfect interval change, and a lyric that says more by implying. Then live with friends and Lindy's party to hear how the band threads theater into restraint. This isn't costume darkness, it's architectural mood. You remember the rooms the songs built.
I swallowed hard and listened intently, resigned, relentless, deep in the strangest feelings.
In a decade that rewarded either gloss or grit, the Icicle works aimed for scale. The original trio, Ian McNabb, Chris Lay, and Chris Sherrick, built songs like Observation Decks, Big Vantage Points, Clean Lines, Wind in Your Face. Their early singles sketched the blueprint from both sides of the Atlantic. Love is a Wonderful Color, lighting up UK radio while Birds Fly, Whisper to a Scream, crashed through US playlists. And the self-titled debut proved they could make that liftoff feel repeatable. What set them apart wasn't just the choruses, it was the engine underneath. Sherrick's drumming is unusually melodic, Tom speaking in phrases, and the guitars stay glassy and percussive rather than smeared in distortion, leaving plenty of air around the vocal. The writing leans toward resilience rather than romance, weather systems moving through people, not the other way around. Follow the next run of records, and you can hear a band testing the width of the frame, the moodier corners of The Small Price of a Bicycle, the leaner punch of If You Want to Defeat Your Enemy, Sing His Song, the widescreen ambition of Blind. Even when the arrangements get denser, the core ethic remains. Keep the rhythm section articulate, let the guitars paint light, make the chorus feel inevitable rather than imposed. Plenty of 80s acts chased anthemic. The Icicle works built it into the architecture. Their afterstory is telling. Members splintered into in-demand live and studio roles, and McNabb's voice proved durable in any setting. But when you drop back into the band's prime, you hear why the name still surfaces whenever crate diggers talk about underrated with a grin. These are records that level well. You can play them loud in a car or quiet on headphones, and they still land as songs, not just period sound. If Los Angeles power pop had a beating heart in the early 80s, Peter Case kept time with it. The Plimsouls craft came out of hard miles, Case's stint in the Nerves, the band's club-to-club grind, and it shows in how frictionless the tunes feel once they're rolling. There's a unique chemistry here, guitars that snap more than they shimmer, a rhythm section that pushes without crowding, and melodies that lodge by the second chorus. A Million Miles Away became the calling card for a reason. It's a perfect intersection of punk economy and pop generosity, but the catalog runs deeper. How Long Will It Take? Oldest Story in the World, and a half-dozen album cuts that treat the hook as a craft, not a trick. The Plimsouls' secret is performance design. Everything sounds record-ready and stage-ready, as if the band wrote with both microphones and sweaty rooms in mind. That's why their songs skate between scenes. They're muscular enough for guitar kids, tidy enough for pop heads, unfussy enough for bar crowds. The brief flash of movie-era visibility gave them a wider audience, but it didn't define them. The live documents prove the point better than any clip. If the 80s often split into neon or noise, the Plimsouls chose propulsion. No wasted adornment, no studio candy, just choruses built like boomerangs. Post-punk gave a lot of bands an attitude. The Comsat Angels built a climate. Stephen Fellows' guitar doesn't announce itself so much as haunt the edges. Kevin Bacon's bass writes subplots. Mick Glacier's drums are architectural, all angles and pressure. On the opening trio of albums, Waiting for a Miracle, Sleep No More, Fiction, they refine a language of restraint. Slow burn crescendos, minor key harmonies, melodies that sound overheard rather than performed.
Do you know it's got to be this way? No hesitation.
Independence Day and Eye of the Lens are shorthand for the aesthetic, but the deep cuts are where you feel their discipline most. The way a verse holds something back so the chorus can change the room by a few degrees. Mid-decade shifts toward radio brightness didn't erase their temperament, they just moved the furniture. Even in glossier moments, you can hear the band's central thesis. Use space as an instrument. Let the snare crack travel. Let the bass line decide the horizon. Let the vocal observe, not plead. The result is music that has aged with unusual grace. So many 80s textures feel trapped by their tech. The Comsat Angels sound like choices. Bands have borrowed their weather ever since, sometimes loudly, often quietly, but the source is still cooler than the echoes. Some groups make urgency feel like theater. The sound made it feel like testimony. Adrian Borland wrote and sang with a candor that could be bracing. No costume, little metaphor, just the facts of a feeling and the band's determination to carry it. Jeopardy and From the Lion's Mouth are the cornerstones. Guitars bright but unsweetened. Keyboards that color without coding. A rhythm section that keeps the floor moving while the lyric does the cutting.
Break out, shake off this skin.
Tracks like I Can't Escape Myself, Winning, and Sense of Purpose don't ask for belief. They present evidence. What deepens the catalog is how the band treats dynamics as narrative. Loud quiet is too crude a description. It's more like pressure and release, camera close-up and pan. Even on later records, when budgets, labels, and the band's internal weather got more complicated, you can still hear the ethic, clarity over gloss, direct speech over posturing, vulnerability as a kind of strength.
And I can't swallow another.
The sound's commercial fortunes never matched the work, and Borland's life carried real weight. Any serious look at the band benefits from compassion as much as criticism, but that mismatch has a second chapter. The The songs have kept traveling hand to hand because they give listeners something rare. Intensity without rhetoric, beauty without anesthesia. If you want the pulse of the decade without the costume, start here.
Hey, RockLore community. Before we continue, let's have a real talk for a second, bro. You know, this isn't just a channel to us. And I hope it's not just a place you come to watch a video and then forget about it. This is a community. It's a place where we get to dig up the secrets of rock and roll, share our favorite riffs, and celebrate the artists who maybe didn't get the love they deserved. Right now, only about 1% of our viewers are subscribed. We can change that together and grow this community. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. When you do, you're not just helping a channel grow, you're becoming a member of the RockLore family. You're signaling to us and to YouTube that these stories matter, that this music is worth preserving, and that this community is a place you want to be. Subscribing is your way of making sure you're always in the loop. It means you'll be the first to know when we unearth a forgotten legend, drop a new countdown, or dive into a piece of rock history you've never heard before. So if you're a true fan of the lore, if you get that same feeling of discovery that I do, then come join us. It takes 1 second to be a part of something bigger.
Plenty of bands use delay and chorus. The Chameleons built cathedrals with them. 2 guitars, Reg Smithies and Dave Fielding, trace wide, interlocking arcs. Mark Burgess's bass sings counter melodies rather than just anchoring. John Lever's drums are all tom-toms and air, the heartbeat in a long corridor. On script of the bridge, what does anything mean? Basically, and strange times, they turn that vocabulary into a world. Second Skin, Up the Down Escalator, Swamp Thing. Each is a case study in how to make scale without bloat. Verses travel, pre-choruses tilt the floor, and then the hook arrives like a view you've been climbing toward. The magic is emotional engineering. The guitars don't just decorate, they narrate, answering the vocal, widening the frame, pulling the ear forward. The rhythm section refuses to plod. Even at mid-tempo, the songs feel in motion. And Burgess writes with a humane ache that keeps the grandeur from becoming grandiose. Plenty of bands cite them. Plenty of listeners discover them late and wonder how the trick stayed hidden. The explanation is mundane and glorious. It's difficult to make music this spacious and this focused at once. The Chameleons did it 3 albums in a row. Return to those records now, and you hear not just a band, but a method. Build parts that converse, not compete. Use effects to reveal, not disguise. Let the chorus earn its skyline. In a decade that often made big synonymous with loud, the Chameleons proved that the most towering sound sometimes comes from playing with clarity and conviction, and from believing that the space between notes is part of the instrument. The journey doesn't end here, Rock Warrior. Watch this next.